So this is my NXT Roadblock review, and I may have missed a lot of this show, but I have watched it in snippets, most of it, and I have also heard about people's reviews and heard it was a pretty great show. I will watch the full show later, but I wanted to review this because the main thing that happened was Stephanie versus Julia for champion versus champion, title versus title, and I liked this match very much because first thing, they were running against the clock, and even in that they laid out their biggest hits, and they had a good match. Like, I can't wait when Julia you know recovers from her injury, because we know why this match happened. This match happened because Julia was injured and they wanted to take the title off her, and they didn't have anyone else that was quite ready to be the, the women's champion, so they had her. I thought that Sean may screw it up by having a fatal influence interfere, but that didn't happen. Like, some of the spots that I would just say, like, Stephanie doing her thigh stuff is always funny. Like, the New York crowd, I think they did chant NXT. I think they chanted Booker T after that, and they stood up, which I think Vic Joseph didn't get. Also, like, from the Spinal Tap into the Rings of Saturn, like the super kicks that Stephanie hit on Julia were like like something else. And you can see, like, even Julia, like, her face, like, she wanted to prove a point, because Stephanie was clearly the crowd favorite. And one thing that has happened since both have come to NXT, which I don't think they really thought, but they should have, that Stephanie is more over than Julia. The thing is, we all know why, because her English is better. Like, she is from Mexico, so it's the proximity is there. Her look is not too foreign from what Americans look like. Her gimmick is like pretty clear, like La Primera and everything. So that happened. She gave the SVBs earlier in the match. She went for the pin, but there was a kick out, nice kick out. Like, Julia's knees to the face, also the Araviderci kick was also good. It's just that I think the crowd was not really that invested in her, that they didn't really react when there was like a close kick out when Stephanie kicked out. Like, that Araviderci knee is that she ends matches with, which I didn't think that they reacted that much, but they reacted pretty much when Julia kicked out a lot of it. And in the end, she had three SVBs, and La Primera is on top of the NXT ladder. She is the champion. Like, last time a double champion was crowned was Keith Lee, when Triple H just went balls crazy and put both the titles on Keith Lee on an episode of NXT. I see probably now her vacating that title, and probably if they'll probably have a tournament. If they are smart, they'll probably have a tournament for the North American Women's Championship, and probably in the end they'll have Jordan Grace win that, because I think that's pretty much the path that they want to be there, because this gives Jordan Grace, like, this is the perfect way to get Jordan Grace a title. like this will get her into more matches, so that she'll get comfortable with the NXT audience. She will get more over also. Kelani and Jada are already in a feud, so they both kind of cancel each other out. it, this this will this will be, I think, great. This will be great for the women's division. As a Javon Evans and Ethan Page, I didn't see the full match, but I saw the ending and it was really smooth. The way that Javon Evans gave that cutter, and the way that Ethan's neck just kind of like they collapsed like this, like it was so smooth. And this showed, like, I was kind of scared that Ethan might win because of like the close kickouts in the end, and also like Javon Evans is so bouncy, and in the end, like, Ethan Page has proven that he's a fucking solid, like, upper mid card talent, not even like a lower mid carded a talent. Like, Ethan Page can go on the main roster, and I can see him like becoming the United States champion, even the Intercontinental champion, like elevating guys up, but also maybe in that World Heavyweight Championship, maybe not winning that championship, but he can be like the opponent going against the champion, being like the first opponent of a world heavyweight champion, putting that guy over, like ensuring that that guy has enough heat, enough momentum in him that people accept him as a babyface champion. I think Ethan Page can do that, and Javon, like, the world is there for him to take over. Like, eventually he will get his mic skills in check. I just hope that the main roster books Javon Evans good. The thing is, there is a lot of time about Javon Evans coming to the main roster, so I shouldn't talk about that much. Next week is kind of like a terrorismo show. Like, apart from like the Trick Williams Eddie Thorpe match, like Eddie Thorpe got attacked by Dark Trick, and I am really liking this Trick Williams. Like, they're having an underground match next week. You're having like two matches that you may be interested in next week, which is Sol Ruka versus Chelsea Green for the United States Championship, and Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe in an underground match. Well, underground matches are always, kind of like, you're like, maybe it will be good, maybe it will be not. But let's see what happens. Like, Oba also defeated Moose. In many that was saying it was a middling match. Many people really liked the Hardy Boys versus Fraxim match, which the Hardy Boys won, which, right decision because they're the TNA Tag Team Champions. I don't think Fraxim are going to go there anyways. You also had, Ethan Page telling Ricky Starks that outsiders are not appreciated here. Like, you can just see the irony. Like, he's facing Ridge Holland next week, and people booed because they don't like Ridge Holland. They don't like Ricky Starks facing Ridge Holland. You are also getting like a six-man tag between Tony D'Angelo's family and the Culling, which is Sean Spears' new group. And like, Easy Dame was speaking some kind of like some fucking outlast language there, and it felt very weird because she also looks a little bit weird, and I'm like, why is Easy Dame speaking like this? And it's very weird. Like, it goes from Sean Spears the Culling to like Fiend, Fiend, and I'm like, come on, man, this can only happen in NXT. Like, going from a Sean Spears stable vignette to like Fiend, 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 and the New York crowd was awesome. Like, they were like chanting Fiend. Like, Fiend was an ad in a WWE like a World or WrestleMania ad, and they were like singing Fiend when it was playing there. So it was pretty awesome. People really like Jordan versus Roxanne, saying that this is the best match since October. I don't know what Roxanne does now. Like, I think a Cora feud is what she does next, or maybe, because the thing is, uh, Roxanne going for the NXT Women's Championship would have made sense, because in the end, like, she was in a fatal four-way and all, and maybe she could say, I didn't get pinned. But then I'm like, she just lost to Jordan Grace, so she can't really go for that. So let's see what happens with that, because Roxanne, I think, apart from like putting over Cora Jade at Stand and Deliver, there's nothing else for her to do. And like, they did, like, WWE just dropped the Bailey and Roxanne feud. So, and I think what's gonna happen is, I don't think Becky is showing up, so probably Lyra versus Bailey is the plan for WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. So let's see what happens with Roxanne and Roxanne, because I think she's gonna stay in NXT for a while. Like, she's not gonna do double duty anymore. She's probably gonna be there, put Cora over, and then come Raw after WrestleMania. Maybe Bailey defeats Lyra, and she comes for the Intercontinental Championship on the main roster, which is a pretty solid first feud for Roxanne on the main roster. Let's see what happens with that. So overall, I think, as a show, as a super show, a pretty great super show which I have to watch. But like, just looking at the theater, just looking at NXT, like, this is such a weird show. Like, one week you can have shows like this, maybe not like this because this was kind of like a super show, and the other week you can go from this to like fucking like what we are getting next week, like two matches which people have no interest, two matches which are kind of like people like, yeah, maybe we are interested in that. I really like Zarya and Soul Ruka's like partnership and all. I'm glad that they have given Zarya something substantial to do while they are waiting to eventually elevate her in that division. I think eventually, whenever they think that Stephanie Walker is ready for the main roster, they'll probably then elevate Zarya to those one of those championships. I think probably the money match eventually is Zarya versus Jordan Grace. Maybe Jordan Grace, whenever she loses that NXT North American Women's Champion, if she wins that, it will be probably to someone like a Zarya. I think that's what's gonna happen with that. So that was my review. From what I saw, like vibes wise, a 4 out of 5. When I watch the whole show, I'll talk about it more. But that was my review. So if you like this type of content, like this video, share and subscribe. If you don't, then share it with those who do. My my social media links, which are my Twitter/X link and my Instagram link, are in the description below. So go follow me on that. My UPI ID link, which is chefboy@okicisa, is in the description also. So donate any amount of money which you can, which will help me make YouTube a permanent career option. So that was it for me for right now. So thank you. Goodbye. Alvida.